everyone. Welcome to the March Town Hall. My name is Matt Delois. I am the East Coast Sales Manager for aboutGOLF Simulators. I'm also a Class A PGA member. Spent about 10 years prior to coming on board with aboutGOLF as a golf professional at some local clubs in my area. But today I want to talk with you a little bit about using some of our coaching tools within our simulators. We've got Flix, which is our video swing analysis platform. Balance, which is our force plates weight shift analysis for analyzing movements within the body. And then we'll also go through our club fitting software as well, where we can utilize the system for fitting players to new sets of clubs or comparing clubs. And we can also use it on a statistical level for gapping clubs and things like that. So we will dive in here in a moment. All right, guys, so we just hit a golf shot. We're going to come over to the post-shot screen, get all the data up the top. Get your graph on the right, talks about club in with some of that data, club data, and the ball data coming out of the shot here, club to ball graph. We're going to go into the Flix tab, and we're going to dive into some of our functionalities behind video swing analysis, or what we call Flix. So you've got your play buttons here up on the top right corner of the videos. You do have a down the line camera on your right and a face-on camera on the left for right-handed golfers. I'm just referencing the screen, but you got your play buttons up here above the down the line camera. We can do a slow motion, so I typically like to look at it like half speed or even quarter speed, but you can change that all the way down to like frame by frame speed. So we'll play it through at half speed here real quick and just take a quick look at the overall swing. Obviously they're synced up. Both cameras down the line and face on are synced up, so they're simultaneous and real live time. And then we can grab this bar and go frame by frame. I can click and drag to whatever positions I'd like to see. So if I want to pause at the top of the backswing and look at anything around here, same thing as we get to the impact position, frame by frame through, and again all the way through to the finish. So one of the features that we can use within our Flix platform is some drawing tools. So if you just click anywhere on one of the videos, you've got the menu pops up at the bottom is drawing tools, and the drawing tools will all pop up on the right hand side of the image. So you've got everything from drawing lines, drawing circles, you've got angles you can utilize. We've got some graph windows. You can even type in text and some other neat things here. So a couple basics that I kind of show and look at real quick. So we can draw a circle around the player's head. We can draw a swing plane line going from the club head up the shaft and through the body. And then as we play through these, we can kind of look and see, is the head moving in or outside that circle, up or down, left to right? Are we shifting and sliding? And then likewise with the line, we can look at swing path. Are we coming over the top? Are we on plane? Are we underneath the plane? Anything like that. So you can look at. One of the key things to recognize, and I think most simulators do this as well, but we don't, aboutGOLF does make a point, aboutGOLF makes a point to not tell you what you're doing right or wrong. It's about showing you what you did do, capturing the data and the video of what you did do, and then it's kind of the golf instructor's responsibility to dissect that, analyze it, and be able to provide feedback and game improvement suggestions and or self-analytics and suggestions on your own. But just come through there. Again, if you had someone with a big over-the-top move, we could actually come back to the top of the backswing here and draw like an angled line with the right elbow and see if we can try and tighten that up. Obviously, we want to try and get the left arm and the shaft. We can measure those angles if you want to adjust anything there. So all these tools are built into video swing analysis to be able to utilize on this level, depending on what you're trying to work on. There is a trash bin here on the drawing tools option, so you can delete any of these lines and start fresh. One of the other ones that's neat here, again, I'll go back to the beginning of the swing, but we can do what I like to consider a clock around the swing, or also reference like a Bryson DeChambeau concept where he works a lot on trying to get his his top of his backswing at either 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, especially with his wedges, trying to control distances, 80 yards, 90 yards, 95 yards. So you can use this graph or this drawing tool with a degree circle to kind of highlight where you're on the backswing you stop the club. And again, this is more for shorter wedges, not full swing shots, but another great tool, our drawing tool built into here. One of the important things to remember when using video swing analysis is that the system is not going to automatically save the video after each shot. You do need to either manually save the video or you can sync it with your mobile app, with the AG Locker app. But it's important to just be aware that once we hit continue and go back to the range for the next shot, that video does disappear unless we manually save it. As you can imagine, saving videos on the hard drive are going to certainly take up quite a bit of space on the PC's hard drive. So if we were to save this, we'll get out of the drawing tools here. We could go into this 3-bar menu, save shot to my swings manager. We can name it, so I'll just name it test here. Hit OK, and what it's doing is compressing the 2 videos into an MP4 file. And now they are being saved on the hard drive and or syncing with the AG Locker app. Once these are saved, we can actually go into My Swings Manager, and we could actually email these videos directly to your customer, your student, and they can actually take these videos home with them to look at themselves, again, if they're not already using the AG Locker app. So we'll go into My Swings Manager. You've got test shot camera down the line and test shot right face on camera. So we can check both of those, hit email shot. It's going to ask us to send it to the recipient's email address. So I'll just punch something in real quick. And then it's going to ask you for the email address of who it's coming from. And these will be sent off, and within a couple minutes your student will have these videos that they can take home with them. In addition to saving the video to My Swings Manager, we now have also saved these videos to be able to compare to your swing down the road. So if you're working on some swing changes, in a couple weeks we could come back and we could actually look at the swing from 2 weeks ago to today and be able to analyze side by side your swing from 2 weeks ago to today and see what kind of changes you've made or lack thereof, depending on, again, the improvements that you can make. So again, a useful functionality within here. And then lastly, we can also do some tour players comparative swings. So if we wanted to look at let's say Justin Rose. We can now bring up Justin's swing and my swing, and it automatically syncs it to pretty close to being the same timing. So you can see we take it back, very similar. Impact might be a couple frames off, but for the most part, pretty in sync or in real time so that we can actually take a look at the top of our backswings together. And again, like I said, impact might be a hair off, but again, what's really beneficial is that you can now look at a tour player's swing and their body motions next to your swing and body motions. And again, either use drawing lines to compare angles, degrees, circles, but quite a few people are very visual learners, so this is a great opportunity to kind of show them the difference between a tour player's swing right next to their swing. And then we can go back to video menu and go back to current shot and bring the original camera back on here. And then the other thing that I'll show you real quick here is you can also do a live time video, or just not a recording necessarily, but if you want to work with a student in real time, you can actually put him in front of the camera and you can see this is all live camera motion, so I can kind of show them what they're doing or put them in the right positions. You know, we want the club to be up here more rather than down here, and he can see it while we're doing it. So there is live camera functionality within the Flix system as well. So again, another useful tool. And I think from here, maybe we'll hit another shot and then transition into balance and Flix combined, which again, that combination of those two tools are very, very powerful. So we've just hit another shot here. We're going to jump into the Balance Pro, or force plates, as many people are familiar with them, and the combination of AG Flix and AG Balance. So if we click on the tab here for AG Balance, you'll see a window opens up, the big window looking at our footprints, and then you got some lines in there we'll talk about in a minute. On the top right corner, we do have a right face-on camera, so we are combining video swing analysis and balance so that we can actually see throughout the golf swing. We can see obviously the data behind the force plates, so the weight shift analytics, combining that with seeing where your body is within your golf swing. So top of your backswing, impact, and obviously follow through. And then you got to have your club data up top and down bottom. So this screen has a ton of information, can be very, very powerful. I will admit that some of this information can be very overwhelming. It can certainly be confusing for some that may not understand some of the concepts behind the body motions of a golf swing. So certainly kind of tread lightly as to what you're showing people, what you're talking about. In some cases, this might be just for your golf professional to kind of analyze for himself and then be able to talk more in layman's terms, if you will, with their student and in trying to apply some of this information. But again, playing buttons down bottom, kind of similar to video swing analysis, or just down on the bottom instead of up towards the top. And as we kind of click and hold and drag through the swing, we'll start the backswing here. And I'm just slowly going all the way through, but we'll come back here in a second and talk through some of this data. So there's the full swing. So we bring it back here to the setup position. So at address, you'll see these two bars, red and blue here. Red is the left foot, blue is the right foot. And again, left toe, right heel, left heel. Top and bottom. So we did apply some footprints on the balance plates on the floor, which allow us to now understand where our feet are in address or in relation to the golf ball. So I'm actually 32 inches from the back of my heels to the golf ball, and then the ball is slightly in the back half of my stance there, about 7.5 inches from my left toe, 5.6 inches from my right toe. So we're being very specific on where that ball position is, which is very helpful for someone that has a difficult time of setting up at the same position or addressing the ball the same way every time. They may be inconsistent, so this is a great way to just have them start to recognize where we similar or not, shot after shot. Within some of the balance data here that we're capturing, so we do capture center of gravity overall with your body weight, which is this yellow line with the little blue dot. And then on your left foot, we actually get center of gravity with just your left foot. So you'll see this orange line moving up and down a little bit, showing the weight shifting from my left heel towards my left toe. And again, similarly, right foot, heel to toe. So as we slowly play through here, we'll get the swing of the club head starting back, and let's maybe stop at parallel to the ground. You can see that I've now shifted about 70% of my weight to the right side, or my trail foot. And you'll see also the center of gravity point here moving on the yellow line. That's obviously shifted towards the right foot as well. And we've started to, within the 70% of my total weight, I've got 72% of that in my right foot, working towards my toe a little bit. As we go a little bit further back to the backswing, you can see now I now have about 95% on my toe of my right foot or my trail foot, and still about 70% of my overall weight on my right side, my trail side. As we start to shift down to the backswing, you can start to see maybe frame by frame, the weight is starting to shift. I'm right here, not even close to parallel to the ground. Again, I'm at 50-50 with my weight. And then within the feet, again, about 99, it's almost 100% of my weight is on my right toe. Oh, so. And similarly on the left toe. And then at impact, you'll notice the colors here change a little bit, which indicates that we did switch to past impact of the shot. And so I've now got at impact, I made about 70% of my weight is on my left foot. And of that 70%, all 100% of that weight on my left foot is on my toe.
That's it.
And then as we follow through to finish, you typically would see the weight on your left side. Again, now we've got about almost 100% of my weight on my left foot. And it started to shift a little bit from being on your toe to now coming down towards almost, ideally we'd like to see it more balanced, about 50-50 there, where you're kind of on that outside of your left foot. But one of the things you'll see if you look at a lot of tour players and their balance plates or force plates and some of the data and analytics that they'll produce out of this shot is you'll see a motion that kind of aligns with this green line right here. But we'd like to see, most golf professionals will tell you that we want to see the top of your backswing, all the weight is on your right or your trail heel. And on the follow through or impact, all your weight is going to be on your lead foot towards the toe. So you're going to create this slight angled line of right toe to right heel to left toe throughout the golf swing. It is not an easy thing to do. You can even see my line kind of does almost a big U-shape movement. Some of the best players in the world still have some squigglies and back and forth and whatnot. Adam Scott's actually a great example that can really, he's got a very pure golf swing anyways visually, but even data-wise, follows this almost to a T. It's got just a slight angle to it, but it's very straight back and forth. But again, the combination of video with balance plates gives you a lot of this data, and you've got all the on-off features of some of these data points where we can actually control what you're showing here. So if I wanted to get rid of a few of these, I could take the center of pressure off, I could take the center markers off, left and right center of pressure is off. So we could just start here and simply talk about ball position. And then as you start to add some of these center of gravity, center of pressure markings back in there, the ones we just talked about, and some lines, we can see the movement within the center of gravity overall, and then within the left and the right foot. Okay. All right, so next I'd like to take you guys through our club fitting platform. On the main screen here, right in the center, and I'll use the cursor so you can see, but we're diving into club fitting. So I've already actually gone into and hit a handful of shots that we can use to compare. But our club fitting platform really has two great uses behind it. The first is the obvious of club fitting. So we could take, as an example, 2 drivers and hit maybe 10 or 15, 20 shots with each one. And we'll side by side compare all the data. And we can look at each data point and kind of decipher based on all the collective data which one might be better fitting for that player, student, or in some cases yourself. The other neat feature or benefit behind club fitting software is more on a statistical level. So you could actually hit, as an example, and it's something I recommend to a lot of our customers and clients today, especially residential guys that are looking to do some game improvement activities, is hit 10 or 15 shots with each club in your bag through the club fitting software. And you can obviously identify what club you hit, so 5-iron, 6-iron, 7-iron, 8-iron. But we can actually go through every club on an average basis and see all the average data that you create with each club and compare that to see that your clubs actually, work best for you. As an example, making sure that all your clubs are gapped properly. If you see a gap between 5-iron and 6-iron that's 20 yards and 6 and 7 irons only 8 or 10 yards, we might need to fill that gap. So that could be something as simple as the loft of their 5 and 6-iron are way different. Something that shifted, changed. If they're forged clubs, maybe they got bent to maybe a different shaft. Probably 5 and 6-iron, bad example. A better one's probably like a 3-iron to 4 hybrid, or 3 hybrid to 4-iron. 3 wood and 5 wood, you're going to find a lot of players will probably have some gaps in there that they might need to fill. So A, this exercise helps find those gaps, and then B, you can take it to say, all right, we need to fill that gap. Let's get a 4 hybrid or a 4 wood Wedges are a good example too. You might have a big gap between gap wedge and pitching wedge, and maybe we need to fill that with a 50-degree wedge or a 48-degree wedge, depending on your configuration. So those are the types of examples that you can use as club fitting software. So when we go into club fitting, your first page, you can put in some information about the golfer, about the player, everything from right-handed, left-handed, age, gender, golfer type, handicap, those types of things. And then when you first launch the club fitting, after you get through that page, it's going to bring you to the very basic driving range. And I want you to kind of take a quick peek at this, because the environment here, there is no targets out there, there's no yardages, there's no nothing that is going to give you an indication of what you just did with your previous shot. The idea behind this concept is we just want you to swing. There'll be no post-shot screen when you hit a shot here. It just resets for the next shot. And the purpose is so that if you, let's say you're biased towards a Titleist driver, for example, and you're looking at Ping and TaylorMade and Callaway, you may try harder with the Titleist. You might swing harder. You might try and do something different if you saw the data from the previous clubs. So the idea is just that we take all the data away while you're hitting shots. We just want you to swing smoothly, make solid contact, and things like that. Once we've hit a collection of shots, we go to navigate and club fitting, and this is where we can start to dive into all of the data. So on the left here, it does identify each individual club. So as I talked about earlier, we're going to look at two different sides of the way we can use club fitting software. The first is club fitting itself. So I've hit a handful of shots with driver DR, and then I hit a handful of shots with DR1, so driver 1. You can go in and you can actually identify this. You could say Callaway, TaylorMade, Titleist. You could also say 9.5 degree stiff, 10.5 degree regular, 9.5 degrees regular, whatever, separations you need to kind of categorize each club. But you can create a whole bunch of drivers and use it on this level. So just as an example, we hit a few drives with two different clubs. And now we're looking at smash factor. There's the column. Ball speed, club speed, total distance, carry distance, backspin, side spin, vertical launch. So all the data points are right aligned one by one, and then we actually highlight some of the important ones to showcase which one's better. And so in essence, we're kind of helping guide you in this software to tell you which club was more fitting or more beneficial in this example, given the shots that were just hit. So smash factor 1.46 versus the 1.37. Obviously, I made better centeredness of contact with the first driver. Ball speed was higher than the first driver than with driver 1 at 129 over 125. Interestingly enough, I was swinging the club faster with driver 1 than I was with the original driver. But carry distance significantly bigger with the original driver here at 232 versus driver 1 at 204. And then carry distance, again, similar to total yardage, a big gap there, almost 20 yards of carry distance difference. So this example, pretty obvious with some of the ball information that the first driver was certainly a better average and better results is probably the best word compared to driver 1. We can also click over to look at club information. So now you got club speed, ball speed, offset or centeredness of contact is also what offset measured in inches is. The attack angle, the path, both horizontal and vertical. And then your offline distance. This is another important one, I think, the offline yardage, especially when you're talking drivers. I was 6.9 yards left of target with the original driver. And I was 27.8 degrees right of target on average with this collection of shots with driver 1. So obviously, if you compare that to outdoors, you're going to miss fairways a lot when you're missing your target line by 27 or 28 yards. And even apex, we can look at launch angle or total height of the shot. So again, some great ways to kind of utilize our software to either sell more clubs or just help players figure out which club might be better for them. So the other neat piece about club fitting that we can do, as we mentioned earlier, is the idea of statistical analytics behind kind of gapping our clubs, if you will. So again, we hit some sample shots, so we're going to just scroll down the club selection to 7 and 8 iron. You'll see some data between 7 and 8. So I have hit 4 or 5 shots, I think. Yeah, it looks like 5 shots with 7 iron and 5 shots with 8 iron. And as you'll notice there, I can click on the shot data, this little ball icon, and it'll go in and show me the individual 5 shots that I've hit. So now I can click on, I can look at shot 5, shot 3, shot 2, and look at each individual data behind it. One of the main reasons for this, you'll see the trash bucket on the far right here. If you hit a bunch of shots, but one was a bad shot, let's say you sculled it or you hit it fat or something that you don't want to factor in as your averages of your individual club, your 7 iron, your 8 iron. We can easily delete that individual shot so it doesn't play into our averages. But again, I'm just showing you that we hit a few different shots, and then the main screen here is your shot averages. So again, average of smash factor, average of ball speed, average of club speed, total distances, carry distances, backspin, side spin, offline distances, all of that good stuff. So what I like to look at biggest is probably carry distance and total distance. So you'll notice with 8 iron was a carry distance of 150, and with 7 iron carry distance of 160. Perfect kind of 10-yard gapping if that's what you're shooting for. And then total distance 165 versus the 151, 7 iron to 8 iron. But again, as I mentioned earlier, with wedges and or drivers, woods, hybrids, long irons, that's probably generally where you're going to see a lot of people have some gaps in their clubs. So again, if they hit 7 iron, 8 iron, 9 iron, pitching wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge, you might notice a bigger gap here between carry distances, and that might mean, hey, we got to fill the gap. Or the reverse of that, maybe his pitching wedge and his gap wedge are going the exact same distance. Those are things that we can quickly and easily identify within this data to be able to say, hey, maybe you're carrying the wrong club. These are both either lofted the same, or it could be anything from loft to lie angle to the shaft flex to the length of the club. There's a bunch of variables that could be causing these distances. But again, using raw data to be able to identify them first is key. And then again, the other nice part is offline distance. Again, we can look at averages, and the more shots you hit with each club, the more accurate the data, the average is going to be. I was right of target with my 8 iron by almost 9 yards, and I was right of target by almost 5 yards with the 7 iron. So clearly I missed to the right more than I do to the left, which is something that's just good to know. And or again, if you're working on game improvement, we got to either figure out alignment, or maybe you've got a little bleeding cut. Again, you can look at side spin. Side spins aren't very high here, so maybe it's not necessarily a left to right side spin or right to left movement, but more so a block and a push. And then again, same idea, click on the club averages, and we can look at some of the club data and look at that. But again, on the statistical side of things, I'm not sure that that's overly relevant. It's more about just making sure that all the clubs make sense within your bag, so you've got the coverage of the right yardages you need for each club. Down here, you'll see the graphs. This is every shot that I hit. So again, we hit 7 irons, 8 irons, and then 2 different drivers. We can also do averages. So now you've got the original driver was the blue line. The driver number 1 was the green line. You got 8 iron with the pink line, and 7 iron was that orange line. We can also click on the 4-bar graph icon and open up these 4 little graphs here: top view, side view, dispersion total, and then dispersion carry distances. So carry dispersion and total dispersion. And you'll see again the dots identifying where these are. So this is really, really valuable and powerful when you talk about hitting every club in your bag. In theory, we should see a nice smooth arc from one club to the next with not much of a gap in yardages on the side view here with the launch angles. And obviously dispersion totals, carry distances, all of that kind of should follow shape or follow suit. But again, if you have kind of an outlier like this green one here, which we already know is that driver 1, but all the other clubs are relatively aligned, we could then say, all right, something's wrong with that club. So you can actually highlight or hover over it with the cursor. It says driver 1, but it'll identify 5 iron, 8 iron, whatever the club might be, and be able to start to look into, okay, what's going on with that club? Is the lie angle wrong? Is the shaft wrong and not consistent with the rest of my clubs? Was I just not swinging that club great? Maybe we should hit some more shots with it. But more times than not, you probably find something might be out of line with the rest of your clubs in that case. and maybe want to make some changes. So again, some very, very useful and powerful tools within club fitting on, again, either a basis of fitting a couple different clubs. Again, you can do the driver thing, you can do 3-woods, you can do, sets of irons. You want to do 2 6-irons of a Titleist AP2 and a Titleist T100, or a ping set, or whatever the case may be. And then on the statistical side, as we just kind of wrapped up here talking about. So definitely a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of functionalities, a lot of features, a lot of tools. I highly recommend just coming in here and playing with it, and even more so, go through this process yourself on the statistical side of things. Hit every club in your bag with, hit 10 shots with every club in your bag. Go through this process. I guarantee you'll learn a couple things from your game, and you'll then be able to better help your students, your clients, your customers on how to navigate this for themselves as well.